All right, hello everyone, and welcome to Empowering Students to Vote event that's sponsored by the Sociology Club right here on the awesome campus of Albany State University. My name is Cassandra Dice Jordan, and I will be your moderator for this event. We are super excited that we can offer this to our students, faculty, and staff. And so we're going to start by, first of all, explaining to you what the purpose of this event is all about. You know, when you think about the elections process and you think about maybe the first time that you went in to vote, for those of you who have already voted, and nobody told you that on that ballot, that not only are you going to be voting for the President of the United States and the Vice President, but you are also going to be voting on proposed constitutional amendments and statewide referendums. And so I thought to myself, I said, you know what? We want to make sure that our students at Albany State University, that they are armed with information that they need that would reduce any anxiety, that they would go to the polls and be confident in their decision to vote. When you have information, knowledge is power. And so that's the purpose of this event, is to equip you with all the information that you need. And so we are so excited. All right. And so now we're going to just go ahead and get started. I'm going to introduce our panel to you. And I'm excited about the people who are here with us today. All right. I'm going to start at my far right. All right. I'm excited. Janiyah Jenkins, she is the president of the Sociology Club here on the campus of Albany State University, and she has been working feverishly this semester to make sure that this club is recognized and organized and just ready to provide the students with activities and things that they need to empower them to be our next generation of leaders. So I'm so glad to have you, Janiyah. Sitting next to Janiyah, we have another awesome student. Her name is Chelsea Porter. She is a member of the Sociology Club as well. And so she is here. She's going to assist us with moderating the questions that we have. And so we're excited to have her with us as well. All right. And right here to my left, we have none other than Dr. James Pratt. And so he is a criminal justice instructor here at Albany State University. He is just an excellent orator. He's very knowledgeable about the community. He's very knowledgeable about the voting process. And he's going to talk to us about the importance of making sure that we fulfill our civic duty to vote. All right. And last but not least, we have one of my sociology students, Miss Abby Wilson. I want you to just get ready, because at the end of this event, she has written a poem that she's going to share with the student body about the importance of voting. All right, and so we're going to get started. So listen, we already have questions from the student body. We've already sent those in to our guest speaker. And so the first thing we're going to do is ask Mr. James Pratt to come up and talk to us about the importance of voting and making sure that we fulfill our civic duty to vote. So let's welcome Mr. James Pratt.
Thank you so much. Professor Jordan, thank you so much for hosting this event in the Sociology Club and all the students. Thank you all so much, because we need to be having these types of conversations around voting, around what it means and the importance of it. And so I just want to briefly talk a little bit about it. Ms. Nickerson's the expert, but I just want to talk a little bit about 3 different things related to the importance of voting: the philosophy around voting, culture, and structure. I'm a professor, so it gets a little academic. But when we think about voting, we have to think about the reason why. We have to think about how it impacts us individually, but how it's a part of our history and in part, a key part of our identity, right? Our civic duty is a component of how we live and exist in the world, how we share experiences, and how we make our voices heard. So first, we have to get the mindset around, what does it really mean to vote philosophically? Is it just a one-day act? Is it just a every 4-year event? No, it's an ongoing process to really think about where are you involved, how are you putting your hands on your local, statewide, and federal government to really make a sustainable impact in your community. And having that mindset, having that philosophy will lead us to develop a culture around voting. When I think about voting, I get excited, right? I get excited and want to participate. I think about, hey, my vote helped this person get into office and create a wonderful law that allows me to do the things that I appreciate every day. And so today, I want us to think more, how do we celebrate voting? How do we push our officials to create holidays around voting so that we can all get a consensus of getting young folks involved along with the older population and everybody in between? Because for so long, we know that folks that are 50 and above generally are the most active voters. And so I want young folks to think about, how do you create that culture? Just like we create Greek culture on the yard, just like we create sporting cultures, how do we create a culture around our civic duty, which is voting, fundamentally voting? And then we have to think about structure. How do we get there? And a lot of people talk about, what is your voting plan? So you have to think about, are you going to ride to the polls? Are you going to vote early? Are you going to fill in a mail-in ballot? Are you going to drop your ballot in a drop box? Are you going to vote early like I love to do? I love going into the voting booth, and there's nobody in there. It's the middle of the day. I can go in and out in 5 minutes. But a lot of us have busy days, and so we have to think structurally. What do our voting days look like? Are you going to have to wait in the line? Michelle Obama once mentioned, are you going to have food? Do you need to have a snack while you're waiting in line, depending on how long it is? So the key takeaways from thinking about the importance of voting is all about thinking about, what's the mindset, what's the philosophy, and what does it fundamentally mean to vote? How do we then create a culture, a collective culture around voting, and really bring people into the process? And then finally, how do we build structures to ensure that the vote is protected and that we can consistently and sustainably be a part of the civic process? So I encourage you all to vote. You'll learn so much this evening, and I'm excited to answer some questions and have some great conversations around voting this evening. Thank you so much, Cassandra, and thank you so much for everybody involved in this process.
Thank you. Can we just give him a clap?
Thank you.
All right, thank you so much for that. And so now what we're going to do, I'm going to introduce our speakers for this evening, and then I'm going to allow her to come up and just share from her heart some things that she wants to share with the student body here at ASU. And then from that point, we're going to move into our question and answer session. All right, and so I just want to say that, sometimes when you are trying to prepare and have an event that's going to impact a large number of people, there are so many moving pieces and you don't know how everything is going to come together. And so I am just so glad that the first time that I ever spoke with Miss Ginger Nickerson, we probably talked for about 30 minutes, I believe. And we were talking about ways that we can make sure that our student body, that our students, our next generation of leaders, that they are prepared, that they have the information that they need to make sure that they make a good decision in terms of using their right to vote. And so I want to introduce to you none other than Mrs. Ginger Nickerson. She is the elections supervisor for Dougherty County. And let me just say before she comes, I am honored that she's taken the time out of her very busy schedule to be here with us today. So can we just clap? And those of you that are in the chat rooms, if you could just clap, if you could say thank you for being here. And so we welcome to our front Ginger Nickerson.
Good evening, good evening. It is indeed my honor, my pleasure to be present and accounted for today at this gathering. I was grateful to receive the invitation. We're not often invited, so when you are, that's a great thing. We're always super excited every election. Mr. Pratt has pointed that out. It's not this year we're excited. Next year we're going to be excited. The year after that we're going to be excited. We want everyone else to be excited as well because, as he stated, It is our local government that those are the individuals that you can go see. Those are the individuals that you can call and make an appointment with. You can't make an appointment in Washington, D.C., but you can make one with your local city commissioner, your county commissioner. These are the individuals that also impact you. So we want you to be involved. There is so much power on this campus. ASU, come on. You can elect a commissioner, a city commissioner. This whole precinct has one commissioner. You could go to the polls. There are enough registered voters on this campus to elect an official. That's the power here. The issue, exercising it. You know, we don't exercise, we lose it, so you have to use it. So there's power not just during a presidential, not just during a gubernatorial race. There's going to be power next year during a municipal election. There will be power the next year. Of course, there's a governor's race, because my mind races past this year. Everybody usually waits to get to this year. My mind goes further than this year. I'm excited each time it comes around. We were in a Zoom meeting today asking for the 2021 calendar. In fact, this election cycle does not end until January the 5th, 2021. And why is that? Because definitely there will be a federal runoff election. In that particular race, currently there are 20 candidates. So we know that November, they will not be narrowed down to one. So our last election for this cycle will be January the 5th, 2021. I can encourage you all, reach out to our office. I can't say it enough. That's what we're here for. We're servants. We're here to provide a service. We're happy that you're registered. We want to make sure that we empower you with the correct information so that you can move forward in this process. As I always state, at one point in my office, I was the youngest. Now I'm not the oldest, I'm the most mature. So things change and they evolve, and we welcome change, and we're excited about change, and we want our young people to be involved, because eventually I'm going home to the house and sit down. And I want someone to step in and make sure that this process carries on, but also that we bring on aboard our young people, that they stay aboard, and that they bring on the next generation and the next generation, that we continue on a great cycle. So that's what I'm excited about.
All right, thank you so much for that. And so now we're going to go into our question and answer session. And so we're going to start with the president of our sociology club. She's going to start with one of the most important questions.
So our first question is, does my vote really count?
Ooh, does it ever? Yes, ma'am. There's no way it does not.
And can you repeat the question so
No.
our audience can hear it?
Sure. The question was, does your vote really count? The only way your vote does not count, if you go into a booth, and it is a private booth, it is your private vote, it's nobody's business, even though your voter history is subject to open records. Doesn't tell who you voted for. It does tell if you voted for a particular party. That's all it tells. But it is subject to open records. That is your elected officials. You can go into the elections office, write us a simple note and say, I would like the voter history of such and such. Sign it, and we will fulfill that open records request. Now, does your vote count? Yes. If you choose to skip a race, which is your option, I can look at my ballot and say, I don't know this person, I don't know this person. I may choose to skip that race. It is up to you as the voter to do your homework. I always say in our office that it's our job to ensure that when a voter comes in, that they are afforded the opportunity to cast their ballot. It's the candidate's job to get the voter to vote for them, not ours. It's our job that when they walk in that door, they will not walk out that door unsatisfied that they weren't able to vote. They were able to vote. Now, who they vote for is not any concern of ours. So yes, your vote does count.
Go ahead, no, you go ahead, please.
Okay. The second question is, I'm a student here who resides on Albany State campus, but I'm registered to vote in my hometown. Do I need to register to vote here?
Okay, great question. You're a student at Albany State, you're registered to vote, let's just say Rockdale County. That's Conyers, Georgia. So you're registered there currently, today, which will be fine. You have the option. Students are similar to military. They're the only two people that have the same privileges. You can actually be registered on campus here or in Albany, Georgia, just because you're at school, or you can be registered in Rockdale County. So you have an option of how you register to vote, just like a military personnel person would. So it's your option. You want to weigh that by which one of these, which county am I most affected by? What are my interests here? What are my interests at home? Which one is going to help me? Which one I'm more interested in? But it's still your option. So yes, you can register here if you so choose, or you can stay registered at home.
Okay, and as far as students that live out of state, that goes for them as well?
Out of state, the same thing. They have the option because if they register in Georgia because they're a student here at Albany State, they can use their out-of-state identification as long as it is valid. They can still use that. So they still have the same option. Yes.
My last question is if I'm registered in my hometown, can I come to Albany? Can I still vote in Albany?
No. If you're registered in Rockdale County, hypothetically, that's the county we picked, Conyers, Georgia, and you're in Albany, Georgia, it does not matter if there's a federal race on the ballot. It doesn't matter if there's a state, local, it does not matter. There is no provision in the law that allows a voter that is registered in another county to cast a ballot in that county, in a different county. So let's say hypothetically, today you registered here, so for instance, you registered in Albany, Georgia. We received that registration. Let's say Saturday, October the 2nd or the 3rd, you go home, you update your driver's license. The Department of Motor Vehicle Services automatically registered you to vote. There was an issue in the past where voters said, well, I said yes, and the Department of Motor Vehicles said, well, you said no. So now they have an automatic system. So if your driver's license is your home address, when you renew your license and you don't opt out of registering, that county is going to take you right back. So I strongly encourage the students, if you have a calendar, if you have a web where you unite on the web, do a countdown to register to vote. Voter check your students, voter check your friends. Where you registered at? Where you registered at? Where you voting at? Make sure you know October the 5th is that date. October the 5th, we need to know where you're registered at because there's no provision that's going to allow you to cast a ballot in Dougherty County if your name is on the rolls in Rockdale County. So what we would be advised to tell you is that, of course, we're going to say you're registered in Rockdale County. And of course, you may ask for a provisional ballot. Provisional ballot does not allow you to vote here, and you're registered in Rockdale County, and that vote be counted. So your best scenario would be for you to leave and get to Rockdale County if it's election day and cast that ballot by 7. Now, the law does not allow us to tell you it won't count either, unless you ask us. If you ask for the provisional ballot, we're required to give you one. If you ask us if it's going to count, then we can tell you. Provisional means that we give you the ballot, period. We strongly emphasize to our poll workers, we're not going to argue, we're not going to disagree with a voter. The purpose was what? To let everybody vote. So if that's what you want, then that's what we're going to give you. Will it count? No. So October 5th is that great date that everybody needs to be aware of, and making sure that by that date that they know exactly where they are registered at, and that's where they want to be registered at.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
My question is, how do I get an absentee ballot?
Oh, there are so many wonderful ways. Technology is an awesome thing when it works. Secretary of State, Georgia Secretary of State just opened up a portal. It is an absentee portal. Now, how do you get an absentee ballot? If you are registered in Rockdale County and you are at Albany State University, you can click on a link, go to this portal. You would put in your address here, so the ballot will be mailed to you on campus. And your registration address would be there in Rockdale, and they would receive that actual application electronically. And we process it, and then we would mail you a ballot. Now, that's one way to do it. The other way is at home, you have relatives the law allows to apply for an absentee ballot on your behalf. It can be your sister, your brother, your grandmother, your aunt, your uncle, your mother, your father. It can be any one of those family members can go to an office and apply for an absentee ballot to be sent to you here. That's allowed by law. Applications can also be downloaded. They can be faxed. They can be emailed to our office. So there are several ways that you can receive that absentee ballot. Now, the portal will only allow an individual that has a Georgia's driver's license to utilize it, because what it does is retrieve your signature from your driver's license and places on the application, and the application is sent electronically to the elections office.
My next question is, how does the absentee ballot work?
Basically, what happens, the process by law in our office, once you apply for the ballot, the application is sent into our office. We verify that you're registered in Albany, in Dougherty County. We verify your signature. We compare. There's no exact match. We compare the signature. And then we process it. We place it in the system, tell the system to mail you a ballot. When you receive that ballot, you will also receive a set of envelopes and some instructions. Basically, you're going to circle in the oval. It'll tell you what to circle in the oval for the candidate that you choose. And as I've stated before, that if you choose not to vote in a race, you can skip it. It doesn't count against you. You would then place it in a white envelope, seal it, place it in another envelope, which is the vendor that we're using now. It's kind of yellow and white. The one coming in directly out of our office, the envelopes are solid yellow. But there's an oath by law that's required that the voter must sign on the outside. So it's the signature or mark, because everybody doesn't have a signature. There's still some people who have marks. So it's the signature or mark of the voter. And you sign it and place a stamp on it and place it in the mail, or the new law that of drop boxes came into play because of COVID. So some counties have drop boxes. Some of them are still working on them, but we encourage everybody, if you're going to use the drop box, of course, go to that county's website, locate where their drop boxes are at. It should tell you where their drop boxes are at, and utilize that. You can also do regular mail or expedited regular mail, or they can be hand delivered in our office, in an elections office once it's voted.
My last question is, what is the best way to register to vote, online or paper application?
For us personally, I like the online. Why? Because some people write like doctors and they're not doctors yet. That's okay though. That's okay. They're gonna get there. That's okay. It makes it legible. We don't like to have applications that we cannot read, because what happens is the system does a system check on a voter. Once we place them in the system, it's gonna check your social security number. It's gonna check different data files before the voter is considered active. And it states that on the registration application. You're not registered until you go through this process. So if we put in something incorrectly, that's gonna cause you to be on hold, in a holding pattern. And what happens in a holding pattern is then the system generates you a letter and says, this doesn't match. The social security doesn't, the last name, and maybe because we misinterpreted something that was written down. And then we'll have to mail you the letter. You have to mail the letter back. Then we update the record, and it still has to go through the nightly. And the next day, you will become active once everything is cleared. So either way is great. To me, like I said, it's just a format, because you have a lot of third-party entities that are mailing out applications and things now due to COVID. They can't do the waiting at the stores and gathering to register people for fear of what's going on. So a lot of third-party entities have taken on mailing out registration forms. They've also mailed out absentee ballot applications. This is something that our office does not do. We only send out applications and registration forms when requested. But those forms are good forms. They're not bad forms. However, on some of them, sometimes they pick up a nickname from somewhere, and it's somebody's nickname with their last name. It's different things on there sometimes. But we encourage our voters still, if you need to utilize that form, you can. So it's just whatever fits what you have going on. We just always, in life, I think, we appreciate options. Everybody likes having more than one way of doing something, but we all get to the same goal at some point.
Okay. Thank you. Are there any other questions from folks in the room for Ms. Nickerson?
I have one. What can students do to be involved in the voting process and help out your office in order to make things run more smoothly and efficiently?
Great question. I am proud to say, probably as of next week, we will probably have about 6 students working in our office from the ASU. Currently, we have 4 employed in our office. So what we did, because it is this year, we need staffing, and we're trying to meet the needs of our voters. So we actually reached out to Dr. Williams, also to, I think, Mr. Morgan, and we sent out a SOS, because that's what you do when you need help. So the call came through, and the people have come through. We took them through our interview process, and what they're doing is basically we're teaching them the system. They will be in our office election day, like call tech people. They'll be taking calls, and they'll be able to go onto the state system and answer the questions. They'll be able to assist our poll workers. We encourage them, and especially the SGA would love for them to reach out to us. We used to have a partnership with them. We lost that some time ago, to continue on. So we have, when someone else comes in, they come back to see us. Because with you having a campus that has a precinct, it would be great if the students are staffing that precinct. Even if it's on a rotating basis, it's okay. We still would like to see them support the Albany State University campuses by wearing their Greek attire, however they see fit. But we want them involved early, because then they stay involved. And that's what we like to see. And of course, with this year, like I said, we had some staff, and we probably in the future will try to continue a partnership to where we're bringing young people in, making them a part of the process, so they kind of understand what goes on and what we do and how this works.
Thank you.
Are more volunteers needed?
We are not, in our office, I think we're full.
Okay.
As far as staffing. We do have an application that we've placed out to the public for everyone, that if they want to be placed on file in case that they do election day working, we're still staffing those precincts and trying to make sure we have a little bit more, just in case something happens. Just like this past Friday, we had a whole precinct that quit. They called and said, we're no longer working.
Wow.
So it's unique things that happen daily. But we like to have people to ensure that, the process is still carries out. The strange thing about COVID is that it requires you not to have a lot of people, but in the voting process, you need people, because you need people to facilitate the process, and you need people to clean, to sanitize. After you leave, somebody needs to wipe this down. After you leave, somebody needs to clean that stylus. So we're trying to make sure that our workers have more workers, so that the managers can manage while everybody else does the work.
Okay. All right. I don't believe that we received any questions from the chat. We do have some. Let's just take a look and see what's there. Oh, okay. Okay, those aren't necessarily questions pertaining to the event. Okay, all right, we'll address those issues. But if there are no other questions from folks here in the room, and no other questions were from the chat about the voting process, all right, then we're going to move forward. Can we give Ms. Nickerson a round of applause? Thank you so much.
One more comment, or just one more comment. I want to encourage individuals, or students, young people, all people, to make sure that they follow the Secretary of State's website, make sure they follow websites that are reputable, that are linked to the county. Why? Because people are making up flyers and putting information on it that are not, it's not true.
Oh, wow.
And so there's a lot of misinformation, and because it's shared or liked, I told them I stopped watching the news, because I don't like to fact check everything, because you can't tell me something and I believe you. I need to know it for myself. So We make sure, in order to make sure that it's accurate, follow those links that are reputable links. Everything just because you like it and just because you share it and just because you tweet it doesn't mean it's real, doesn't mean it's the truth. And this election is so vital that we have the truth, that we know the truth, and the truth empowers us. Bad information does not do us any justice. So we are constantly on the phone trying to correct things that are going around, or I heard, or I saw, kind of information. And that's okay, because that's what we're there for. But I encourage you young people, because I know what you do in your world, to make sure that you follow things that are reputable, that are county links, or that are local, or to the Georgia Secretary of State's office, to ensure that you are receiving the best and the most accurate information.
All right.
That's it.
Thank you
All
so
right.
much.
Thank you.
All right. Well, we hope that you all have received a lot out of this event. And we're going to have Mr. Pratt to come back up in just a moment. But on the screen, for those of you who are on the chat, on the screen there is a link. It's very important. I mentioned this earlier, that you have to realize that you're not only voting for the President of the United States or the Vice President of the United States. There are other things that are on that ballot that are important. Referendums and also amendments to the Constitution. Those things are very important. And those things are on the ballot. So what you see on the screen right now, www.mvp.sos.ga.gov/mvp/mvp.do. That is the link that will take you so that you can see what is on the ballot. I have one here that I printed out, okay? So I'm not sure how well you can see this, but this is an actual ballot, okay? And let's see here, we've got black and white, another one here, okay? But before you go to cast your vote, make sure that you are informed and you know, so that when you get in there, you're confident. That was the purpose of this event. That link will give you information. You can see exactly what your ballot would look like for the area that you're registered to vote in. Please use that link, all right? It will empower you. Okay, so with all of that, I think that we have covered everything that we wanted to cover today. We're going to have an announcement from Mr. Pratt, and he's going to close us out. But before he comes, I'm going to ask Abby to come. She volunteered to share something with the students. And so can we just clap for Abby? And after Abby, the voice you'll hear will be Dr. Pratt.
Hello, everyone. As Miss Jordan just said, my name is Abby Wilson. I'm here to share a spoken word piece that I wrote. Here it is. In our generation, silence is not golden. Our voices need to be heard no matter the subject we're speaking on. People may say we're too young to understand or that we just don't get it. What I don't get is our society. It expects us to be mature enough to pick a career by the end of high school, but thinks we're too naive to understand the political climate that affects and surrounds us. This will be my first time voting in the presidential election, so of course I've been following politics closer than I have in the past. I need to be knowledgeable about who exactly is going to be on my ballot. I need to be knowledgeable about which candidates come close to my ideals and morals, who I believe can make changes that will benefit me. Voting matters. Your voice matters. We cannot sit idly by and expect others to vote the way we want them to. We instead have to make that decision ourselves and take action by voting for who matters. Even if your choice does not win, you can feel peace knowing that your vote counted towards something that mattered. You matter, and your voice matters.
Hi everyone, my name is Ginger Jenkins and I am the president of the Sociology Club. We are a club, sociology majors, some psychology majors, some criminal justice criminology majors, and we just try to do our best to make society better as young adults. We try to be on campus, active on campus, doing things, trying to get everyone involved. If you want to be a part of the Sociology Club, you can reach out to Professor Jordan, Professor Davis, anyone any professors that's a part of sociology or psychology. And we will be happy for anyone to join. We love members. And yeah. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Professor Jordan, and everybody that was here. And I'm so glad I was be able to be part of this conversation. A couple announcements. Did you know that October 5th is the last day? We've said that over again. That is the last day to register to vote in the upcoming election. So don't forget to register to vote. Make sure you use that link. If you need help registering to vote or changing your address, ASU is offering voter registration assistance. So you can stop by the following locations until October 5th. And if you would like to volunteer, make sure you get in contact with us as well. And those locations are East Campus in the SGA office, which is on the second floor of the Student Center. And you can get there Monday, Wednesdays, Fridays from 12 to 3. And then on the West Campus, for those of you that don't want to go across town, you can go to the Student Center, room C103, Monday through Thursday from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. and then Friday from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. And then residence halls. Volunteers will be stationed at the lobby on Monday through Friday from 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. And September 24th, they will be in the North Hall and South Hall. On the 25th, East Hall and Hall 5. On the 28th, Hall 1 and Hall 2. On the 29th, Hall 3 and Hall 4. And on the 30th, Hall 6. And then we go over to October 1st. They will be in the Commons in Village South. On the 2nd, North Hall and South Hall. And then on the 5th, East Hall and Hall 5. And also, don't you forget that use the link in the chat. It is www.mvp.sos.ga.gov/mvp/mvp.do. And for those of you that are Google savvy, you can Google my voter page in Georgia. You all are smart, so make sure you get active and get familiar and get registered. Thank you so much, and you all have a wonderful night.